Hi everybody, welcome to Grab a Cup Knit and Chat, episode 4. My name's Maggie, and welcome to my little corner on the YouTube channel situation for my knitting and fiberworks. Today is September the 17th, 2023. It is about noon here in the Willamette Valley of Oregon. We're in my craft room, which really needs to be cleaned extremely bad. And I was thinking the other day, just to get a start off, that I really should get rid of a lot of my stuff. I've rearranged some things so that maybe the lighting isn't so glaring so much on my glasses, so the glare isn't there so much. I redid my blinds, but I see it's still there, so I'm gonna take them off unless I really need them. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much. I made this channel just so that I could have a way to talk about my knitting without my partner, husband, whatever you want to call him. We've been together for going on 10 years now. He doesn't like talking about my knitting like most guys, I guess. He tolerates it, but my best friend lives in Washington State and we don't get to visit anymore. We used to get together 2 or 3 times a week and have tea, coffee, make herbal concoctions, knit, watch Outlander, that kind of thing. I really miss it. Hi, Leanne. So I guess this is my way of talking to her with you guys, and getting a whole lot of other friends in the process. Today I'm using a cup that one of my granddaughters and I made on the Cricut machine that puts the stuff on the cups. I can't remember what it's called. I've been drinking coffee out of it all day. I've got coffee all over it. But we did the hearts and the little butterflies, and I just love it so much. This one had a little mess up, but you know, honestly, unless I point it out, you really can't tell. But anyway, just coffee with coconut milk. So grab something warm or something cold. Just grab a cup and let's knit and chat. I guess I should say that this is the 4th episode, which I've already said. I record these episodes. I do no editing whatsoever. I am not that tech savvy. So what I say, what I do, that's what you get. Okay, where to start? First off, I finished a couple of things. So I finished a muscle burrow hat. I can't tell you what yarn this is. All I can tell you is that it's a fingering weight sock yarn that I had in my stash. I started to make socks, and I was told that by I'm just going to call him my husband, that he no longer wanted socks, or he didn't want another pair of socks right now. Anyway, I wanted to make something for him, so I made the muscle burrow hat. I made mine, and it was a little large, but I made it with superwash yarn, and I didn't mind because mine was intended to be made, I think I showed it in one of the other episodes, it was intended to be worn at the beach, and it's big enough, even though I didn't do the right size, but it's big enough that I have a little camouflage cap that's, I call them skull caps. They're really a lot tighter. that I like to wear at the beach when we go clamming, and getting mussels. So the mussel burrow, the first one that I made, is the same size as this, and I thought it was nice because it would fit over that skull cap. And if you've ever been to the beach on the West Coast, especially in the Oregon area, it can get pretty cold. It's not like when you go clamming, you're going right at daylight, and it's very cool and it's very windy, and it can get a little irritating if you're out there without a hat. So having that extra hat kind of helps. And then you can just take layers off. I love to layer in this area because I get really hot. But I'm also at that time of life where I'm having a lot of hot flashes. So having the layers to take off helps. I made this, it's not super wash yarn, but I made it in the same size, thinking that it would be different, and it's a little larger. So I'm gonna cast another one on. I kind of like having it as just mindless knitting, because after you do the increases, it's just stockinette stitch until you get to the other end and you do the decreases. But it's a paid for pattern, and I'm not going to talk too much about it. So there's the mussel burrow hat. I'm gonna do smaller. I'm just gonna do smaller because I don't know how much smaller. Mine, I have 36 stitches in each section, and I'm thinking that I could probably go down quite a few, but I just need to figure that out. Another thing that I've finished is Joji Locatelli's Tromso hat. This is the top, and this is the actual hat. I love it. It's snug, and it's made with bulky weight yarn, so it's another good hat. Let me see if I can put this one on. And the styrofoam mannequin head I got at a thrift shop in one of the local little towns close to me, and I love it. I had seen them at Michael's and Joann's, and they were close to $15. I think I paid $3 for this one. And then I go into a local Michael's and they have them for like $6. So crazy, right? But I like having them, especially like with the mussel burrow hat. I washed it and then I just set it on the head to dry. But there's the top. That's a cute little detail. And then it's folded up. You can see it's nothing but a ribbed hat in bulky weight. So it didn't take that long. My issue is the bulky weight and the knitting kind of hurt my hands a little bit, but I was having some issues with arthritis when I was making it. It took me 3 days to make. And it's not because it's difficult, it's just because my hands, the bulky weight yarn is heavy to me. And it's on larger needles. I want to say that it's on a, I think it's a size 8 circular with the bulky weight. And it's just heavier yarn because I'm used to working with the fingering weight or DK. That's my go-to yarns, but I love it, and I will be making more. This is done in Lion Brand's Scarfy yarn, and I think it's just called Cream and Black. I love that. The pattern is Joji Locatelli, and it's from her, oh gosh, it's her new fall ebook. Let's see if I can find it. I should have written this down, but I didn't. So let's see. Where is it? Ready for Fall 2. There you go. I bought the book, and I love that hat. I'm going to be making more of them. That's pretty much all that I have finished. So the next thing is, let's talk about this. So I'm going to be real here. I talked about all the things that I wanted to knit in the last episode. So many things. And now I'm frustrated. Just frustrated. I'm working on the Pebble Tunic by Joji Locatelli, which I've been working on for a while. I'm down to the sleeves, right? Love it. Love, just love. I'm working on the sleeves here. I looked at the decreases and I was like, y'all, this sleeve has no decreases in it until you get down to here, where my fingers are. I have a big arm. I mean, I'm older. I have a big flabby arm. So I didn't want to do the decreases. And then I thought, well, it's a little wide at the cuff. The last inch, I did some like decreases every other row. Just to kind of bring it down, which I don't mind. And now I'm on the cuff. I'm so frustrated. I just get frustrated. I don't know. It fits well. I love it. Kind of wondering how I'm going to sew the pockets down, which is just a mattress stitch. I still have to sew the pockets down. Paid for pattern, Pebble Tunic. Love the pattern. Love the yarn. The yarn is actually Soft and Sleek DK from Hobby Lobby. I was given some in, well, I bought some yarn at a sale. Some was in there. I loved it. I love the feel of it. Don't agree with their politics or whatever, but the yarn is good. And you know what? If I can get some good yarn, I went and bought more of it to finish off the sweater. The color changes that you see in there are all from what is supposed to be the same lot number that was all gotten together. But, you know, it's my sweater. I'm okay with the way it looks. We'll see. I'm just going to finish the sleeves. And if it winds up being a house sweater or a beach sweater or a going out in the woods sweater, which we happen to do a lot, I'm okay with that. If somebody doesn't like it, they don't have to look at me. I'm really getting to that point here lately. Sorry. Another project fell over. If I can get it up. So, honestly, that's about the only thing. Well, no, that's not true. That's one of the only things that I'm actually working on from my big list in the last episode. And that's mostly because I just want to really, I just want to get it done. I love the sweater. I want to finish the sweater. It's soft, it's comfy, it fits good. The way I'm doing it fits good. And I think other than a cardigan, that's the only things that I'm going to finish from that list. I've started the tessellated pullover. I got the ribbing done. I had about, I don't know, 2 sections of the color done, and picked it up to work on another section of color and looked at it. And in the second section, it was wrong. I had to take it all the way back to the ribbing. So I either need to start that over or just not do it. And then I got to thinking, all of the things that I had on my list, I've seen other podcasters cast on. I've seen Instagram pictures. It's the whole hype of this is this year's Rhinebeck sweater. I don't live anywhere close to New York. I'm not going to go to Rhinebeck. But I liked the pullover. I would have had to make it longer. And then I got to thinking, well, so what if it doesn't get done right away? Maybe it can be, I want to knit, goes into a stack, and what really calls to me goes into another stack. And I also talked about how I'm taking out projects that no longer bring me joy. That may be one of them. It's nothing on the pattern designer. Andrea Maurer did awesome. I love the results of all the ones that I've seen. It's a simple knit. It's just not something that you can start and then put down for a couple weeks like I did, without actually, when you pick it up, you really need to pay attention to where you are. Let's put it that way. That's what I didn't do. When I picked it back up, I had started it. I had done a couple of rounds of the color. It's like spin cycle and a mohair, but mine is cascade wave and a mohair. And I had done the color changing. I had done the mohair. I was doing them separate. I think I'm going to do it without the mohair color when I redo it. I just want the color changing all the way up and not that other. But I'm not sure, because I kind of like it, kind of don't. I'm like, am I going to wear this? It's kind of, once I was getting into the knitting of the body, the weight of the fabric that it was making, with as hot that I am all the time, how often am I really going to be making, or how often am I really going to wear that sweater? Quite frankly, I don't know. So now I'm not sure if I'm even going to continue with that or not. So I may wind up making a Weekender Light or a Weekender Crew or something, one of her other patterns. I'm not sure. And the other thing that I have to think about, and this made me think really hard about the other sweaters, how often should I really be wearing a long sleeve in a sweater? Knowing the fact that I prefer to layer all of my garments, because Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, I'm in a office. and I'm sitting in front of a computer, and I have, just like I do now, I have a fan going next to me all the time. And yes, I can get cold, I can get hot, but I usually have a cardigan, and I actually have a sweater that stays on the back of my office chair for if I didn't wear a cardigan that day. I have a sweater, so if I get cool, I put the sweater on. When I get warm, I take the sweater off, but the fan continues to go. And people may think that's crazy, but it's what keeps me comfortable. And if I'm comfortable, I'm happy. And if I'm happy, then my clients are happy. And if my clients are happy, then I've done the job that I'm trying to do. The other thing is, like the pebble tunic. Yes, it's long sleeve, but it hangs down. It's loose enough in the arm that it's comfortable. And I really like those type of sweaters. I made a sweater not long ago, earlier in the spring, that I love, but it's long sleeve, it's DK weight. Let's see if I can find the picture. I love the sweater. It's just, I didn't get to wear it very much before it got too hot to wear sweaters, and I'm not sure how often I would wear it in the winter time. So it's like, why? So now I'm like, okay, I watch the Grocery Girls. I'm looking down because I'm trying to find it while I talk. I watch the Grocery Girls, and they're always saying you can make any long sleeve sweater into a short sleeve. Okay, so do I need to decrease before I start the ribbing? How far? I guess I just measure it on my arm to see how far it should go and then do the ribbing. But do I need to decrease there? I really don't think I do, but I'm gonna try. This is the calliope that I had made. This is in a peachy color. Let's see if I can get, there we go. I did mine in a pumpkin spice color, and I really like it. I really do. I love it. But I think it would be awesome in a short sleeve. And I think I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start making all of my pullovers in a short sleeve. I love the raglan design. I love the top down. That's another thing about the tessellated pullover. It's bottom up, and that's a little confusing to me as to how far to make it. And I really need to measure from, like they say, the top of the shoulders down to where you like it to hit. I have not really wide hips, but I have a large belly, and I don't like things to hit me where it exaggerates my large belly. So I need to come up with that. But the thing that that I'm really thinking about doing is making them short sleeve. But I do like this drop down shoulder, like the Pebbles tunic has. I think that's what you call the drop down shoulder, where you do it together and then it comes here. And then I'm wondering, this is where I'm at with this one. I'm wondering, do I want it to be long sleeve? Do I want to bring it up this way and then do the cuff and just make it a short sleeve? Or do I want this long sleeve? Because to me, this is like a long sleeve sweatshirt. And I wind up, like I'm wearing a long sleeve now, and it's one of those fold up with the button things on it. And I might put this on in the morning and have it buttoned at the cuff. But before I drive the 45 minutes to work, they're rolled up. So it's pointless in me having long sleeve shirts. They're going to get pushed up. They're going to get rolled up. All of my sweatshirts, the cuffs are all stretched out because I push them up all the time. So realistically, should I just put this on and then see how far I want it to come down? If I do that, it's only going to come down to about right here. How is that going to look? Is that going to mess up that drop shoulder design? I mean, and I'm new at picking up stitches like this, and this hasn't been blocked or anything like that. Should I have just... I don't know. I don't know. I'm at that point where I just realized that. And part of that is watching Wool Needles. Oh my gosh, all of a sudden I can't remember. Wool Needles Hands on YouTube. It's one of the ones that I have several that I watch constantly. It's Wool Needles Hands. She's usually, that's Taylor Earl. She's usually on Sunday with her regular podcast and Wednesday with her Ramble podcast. Needles at the Ready with Kevin and Ray, every other week. Like they were on yesterday. Today is Sunday, so they were on Saturday. They usually post on Saturdays every other week. Sometimes it's on Sunday. And then Grocery Girls with Tracy and Jody. They're every other week on Thursday. So I know this is kind of funny. I know when I see the Grocery Girls come on Thursday, that Needles at the Ready will be on Saturday, and I kind of like watch for them. But and I watch Taylor all the time, and she did one the other day. It's 7 steps to finding my knitting style. That was 3 days ago. So that was Wednesday's podcast or Ramble. And listening to that video is what got me so frustrated, because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I love to make all these pullovers. Don't get me wrong, I love making them. I just love making them. But then I don't like wearing them, so why am I making them? So unless I'm making them for someone else, I shouldn't be making them, because it's not a waste of my time. It's just, I find all of the ones that I want to make, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to wear that. So if I find one, sorry, my hair keeps irritating me. If I find one that I really like, I think I should start either doing them as cardigans, which I'm not really good at. Just so you know, I'm a pattern type of person. I don't have that creativity. If it's not in the pattern, I don't know how to make it into the pattern. You see what I'm saying? I have to have a pattern to knit something. So turning a pullover into a cardigan is something that I'm not going to be able to do, which I wish I could. So that being said, cardigans and turning the sweaters that I like into short sleeves. That's what I need to start doing. And then I would be happier with my knitting, because right now I'm so frustrated that I'm so stuck on this Pebbles tunic, and I'm so excited to have it and I really want it done, that I'm not really sure if it's ever going to get finished at this point, but I really want it. The next thing that I'm working on, that I'm continuing to work on with my knitting, and I don't plan on pulling it out, is a cardigan. So there's a Eva cardigan by Petite Knit, and I didn't even see that one until I saw that after I've seen this one. This is called the Eva cardigan, a timeless everyday favorite by Kaja Fredrickson. I'm butchering the name, I am so sorry, but this is it. So when I say I'm doing an Eva cardigan, this is the one that I'm doing. It's not the one by Petite Knit, and I'll tell you why. I love several of Petite Knit's patterns, but y'all, I have a 54-inch bust at the widest part, and there's not a whole lot of patterns. There's a lot of patterns that are size exclusive, but they kind of stop right there at 50 or 48 to 52. And there's not a whole lot that I can make that gives me the positive ease that I need, because as large as I am, I do not want tight fitting clothes. As hot as I get, I do not want tight fitting clothes. I want at least 2 to 4 inches of positive ease. This one is size inclusive. I am making the 6th size, which the finished bust measurement should be about 59 inches. The 5th size, the finished bust, is 54.3, around about. I kind of like that because it's not too terribly big, but it's big enough. So I went to Michael's and I found Heather Tweed by Loops and Threads. This is in the Basil colorway. It's not extremely cheap. It's like $8 a skein. 418 yards, 150 grams. And I started this one, and this is the front. This is what I've gotten so far. I love it. I love it. This is the back. And you know what? I kind of like the back too. So far I have done enough to have just finished my second buttonhole. So there's my little buttonholes. They're for like a 5/8 button or something. Anyway, I love this. I got the pattern off of Ravelry. It's going to be a cardigan. This is the left front. So I'm starting with the left front right here. That's as much as I've gotten done so far. It's going to be a thick thick fabric. I want to show you the yarn. I don't know if you'll be able to see it very good or not. I think they call that a chain net construction. That's it kind of relaxed. That's it kind of tight. Um, Heather tweed chine. I don't know if that's something to do with the construction of it, but I like it. It seems very classic. It's that basil green color with the beige and ivory or brown little bits, and I like that. Oh, something else I was gonna show. My pebble tunic is just in this little bag that I found off of Temu, I think. It has the strap, it has the handles, it even has a snap. It was like $10 or so. Not that much. It has a zippered pocket and another pocket. If you see this, I actually took an old pair of clean tights that I had that got they're too small, so I just cut a piece of it off, tied a piece in the bottom, and I can put my yarn in there to keep it from these skeins from Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek DK. They don't stay caked very well, and I really just didn't want to recake them or rewind them, so there you go. That's what that's in. The Eva cardigan that I have is in this basket. It's got a couple of handles. I got this at it's falling apart. I think I paid like $2 for it at a yard sale or something. Yeah, so it does have its like moments, but I do have baskets. I'd rather have a basket for my stuff at home than I would a bag. So there's that. The other thing that I've been working on, that's pretty much it on garments. I have a couple pairs of socks that I'm working on, and I got frustrated with them also because I'm doing the Coffee Talk socks by Tracy Miller from the Grocery Girls, and while I'm doing the Coffee Talk socks, I put them down one day, I picked them up the next. I had them at work. I like to sit and knit when I get to work because I'm usually there early. That's the Coffee Talk socks on Ravelry. I'm usually there early by about 15 or 20 minutes, so I like to sit at my desk, sip on my coffee, relax from the drive-in because, you know, people are crazy, and knit. And somebody walked up to me, and I had put my knitting down because I dropped something, and I'm talking to them, and I picked up my knitting and I did the wrong pattern row, and I get to the next row and I'm like, okay, so now I've got to go back and fix those and pick it up again. I don't know why I do it. I don't know why. If I'm gonna take things to work on, I do a lot of video training by either Zoom or Teams, and you know, you turn your video on long enough to let them know, hey, I'm here, and then you turn your video off because they're usually sharing screens and it helps with the screen sharing. And then if I'm just sitting back in my chair watching this video the whole time, my mind's wandering here, there, and yonder. If I have a stockinette or a stockinette stitch in the round or a simple stitch pattern that I don't need anything for, and I'm sitting there doing it, I can watch that screen and do that knitting and pay attention to what they're saying. Otherwise, when I'm done, I'm not even going to remember a sentence. Excuse me. But no, that day I took a pattern sock and one that I've not done before because it's my first time making the Coffee Talk socks. And I totally messed up on it, of course. So the other thing that I'm doing, that's it on the knitting wise, because our garments, because I have to restart the Coffee Talk socks. I have to think about my Pebbles tunic. I'm working on this cardigan because I'm rethinking everything that I'm going to do thanks to Wool Needle's hands. Thank you, Taylor. Now maybe I can be a little more happy about what I'm knitting. But the other thing that I'm doing is I'm actually working on my Cozy Days Daisy blanket from All About Amy. I love it. It's also in my Ravelry pages, so there's that. Hers is done in avocado, in Hue and Me from Lion Brand, and I think it's avocado, a mustard color, and a cream color. Mine is done in sage, blush, and ivory, and I have about half of them done. So this is what I have done so far. And that's just waiting for the next block. So I had all of these blocks done, and I went ahead and steam blocked them. These are granny squares. I steam blocked them. I have one of those wood, I call them checkerboard blockers. So it's just a big piece of wood with holes all in it and little metal rods that go into it. And then you can put the rods in the corners of the granny squares, and you can stretch them out a little bit, and then you can use your steamer, or you can spritz them with water and then let them sit there and dry. This is actually like 6 squares wide and 7 squares long, so it's like 42 squares, and I had this many done. I think when I figured it up, it was about half done. So I've got 6, 12, 18. I got 21 squares. I thought I had 22. But anyway, these squares were blocked already. So I actually have 2 on the board waiting to be steamed right now. I have 2 more that need the sage color put on them. What I've been doing is I've been making like 3 or 4, because you're doing one and then you're cutting the color and then you do the next color and then you do the next color. So I've been making the middles, and I'll make 3 or 4 of them, and then I'll do the ivory color, the petals, and I'll do all 3 or 4 of them with the petals. I'll weave in all of those ends, and then I come back with the edge, the sage color. And then I'll weave in those ends, and then I'll put them on my blocker and steam them. I can do up to 4 blocks at a time when I steam them. It usually doesn't take that long for them to dry whenever I steam them. I have like washed them before, you know, get the wool wash. Even though this is acrylic, I still use the wool wash. Soak it for 15 minutes, rinse it out, really squeeze it, put it on the block, and it takes 4 or 5 days, or 2 or 3 days, not 4 or 5 days, blah. A couple of days to dry, but I like to steam it. I have that little handheld steamer that I got off of Amazon. It works okay. I just tilt the wood block up and then steam it 2 or 3 times for a couple minutes, and then I let it dry. Excuse me. The other thing that I've been working on is my miter square blanket. It's been my saving grace the last few days when I really haven't wanted to work on anything else. I have all of my scraps, fingering weight scraps, and I've just been doing the miter square blanket. So little miter squares. I've added a couple of larger ones. Now I'm to right here. So this purple one is where I started. So this is one edge, and that's as tall as I've gotten it so far. And then I started working out, and I was like, do I want to work across? Do I want to work lengthwise? And then I got to thinking, I want to work across. So I have a trundle day bed, and I measured it on there, and it's going to be laying on the bed with one square row hanging over the edge of the mattress on each side. That's as far as I wanted it to go. And I laid this on there, and I was like, okay, if I do that, this is this, and I figured out it's going to be 44 inches wide. So whether that's with just one square hanging over on each side, or whether it's 2, I think it comes around to where it's like one on one side and then half of one on the other side. But when I get that close to the edge, then I'll decide. I haven't woven in these ends. I just did these last night. The back of it looks like this. I've woven in all my ends up to what I put on last night, which is these 4. I'm not worried. These are all scraps or minis that I've gotten from somewhere. Like, I can tell you this color and this color and this color were from the socks that I finished, that I showed in the last episode. This right here, I'm not sure. Some of them have meaning, some of them don't. Some of them I can tell you where they came from, some of them I can't. But I can tell you that this one here is one that I dyed. And I have several skeins of those. Like, I dyed this one that I'm using. Those were things that I dyed several years ago, and I'm just using them up. Others are mini skeins that I've gotten from different shops and stuff. When I go into a yarn shop, when I'm visiting places and I go into a yarn shop, I really don't want to walk out without anything, but sometimes I will. Depends on how, not all yarn shops are just wonderfully good natured people. Some are a little snooty. I hate to say, but they are. I've only found one like that, and that happened to have been in Seattle, when we lived there. It was one shop. I'm not going to say the name of it because I've heard people say that they love it in there, but I don't know what it is. It might have been the day that I was there. It might have been me. It might have been them, but I didn't like the way I was treated in there. So anyway, I'll buy a mini skein, and it goes in that. It goes in my beekeeper's quilt, which I'm not going to show any more of that. I've done a couple of those yesterday, and I have my northeasterly, which usually my mini skeins or my scrap yarns go into, depending on how much I have, go into a square on the miter square blanket, a hexie puff for the beekeeper's quilt, and then it goes to the northeasterly blanket. All of those are on Ravelry, and that's pretty much all I'm working on. Got these little wonderful mini skeins yesterday. I think they're like 5-gram skeins. I don't know. Anyway, these will probably go into the miter square blanket only. If there's anything left whatsoever, they'll go straight to the northeasterly because, and I forgot the little marker. There was a stitch marker that was a little donut with sprinkles on it that came with these. Who is it? They were actually from, if I can see it on here, Etsy. Surprise bag scrap yarn 10 mini skeins. So that's what these are. Sugar Crafts on Etsy. So let's see if I can, there you go. That's the shop that they came from. And this is what I got. I haven't really even taken them out of the little bags, so I guess I should do that so you can see them better. So this is from the first bag. And they're not that expensive either. I was looking at that yesterday. Depending on what you're gonna get, I mean, this was the 10 mini skeins, and looks like they were a total of like $14 plus shipping. And that's something you have to look for on Etsy too. Sorry, I got kind of close. Some places have free shipping and some places don't. So here's the other one. I'm really liking this one. And some of the others are really nice. This one's interesting. I don't do color coordinating on my miter square blanket. I try not to put, like, I do like a lot of blues and pinks, peaches and purples, it looks like. You can really tell what I'm into there. I try not to put a blue next to a blue, and I try not to put a purple next to a purple, yada, yada, yada. I I try not to. I'm kind of running low on squares. I'm looking for like fingering weight yarn scraps in different places. I'm looking for more mini skeins, that kind of thing. So I'm always on the lookout. And these that I dyed, I'll show you. Just because I'm going to show you some other dyed yarn that I did. So this is a green. This is all on fingering weight. This was jacquard dyes, but I can't remember the color or anything. I was just playing around. This is actually done on fingering and with strawberry lemonade Kool-Aid. This is a blue that I did. This is another blue. This one was black cherry Kool-Aid. This is another strawberry. And then I can't remember what this one was, but this was a Kool-Aid as well. I think it was a mix of the strawberry lemonade and a blue raspberry or something like that. Anyway, I am not going to do anything. I have had those in my stash for quite a while. I am not doing anything special with them. I thought that I might. And I really need to knock things down in my craft room, so I'm just using them in my miter square blanket. I'm going to use some in my beekeeper's quilt, and I'm going to use some in my northeasterly. I have them all caked up. My intent now is to cake them into little 20-gram balls, and I'll divide them up between the 3 scrappy projects. So if I get 5, I should get 5 20-gram balls out of each cake. Yeah, I think that's it. Anyway, math is not my forte today, sorry. If I get that, then I'll probably put 2 in each scrappy project, because there's 3 of them, and then I'll probably just throw 1 in 2 different ones. I think the small squares here are like 10 grams, maybe a little more. Anyway, I'll do another with the other one. I'll throw it in the miter square blanket box, is what I'm saying. And then I'll do a small miter square, and then with what's left, I'll add the rest to the northeasterly. That's the only way that I can think of. This miter square blanket is living in this precious little basket. It's got the handles here. This one folds down and then it lifts up. I found this at a thrift store the other day at 25% off for a whole whopping $6.75. So I was proud of that. The other thing that I was talking about as far as dyeing is there's a spinning group locally that does what they call dye days a couple of days a year. And I went on Labor Day. Their normal meeting days is at the senior center on Mondays. So because Memorial Day and Labor Day always falls on a Monday and they can't meet because the center's closed, they do a dye day at one of the ladies' homes. I went with my DK weight bare yarn, hoping to find something that I could dyed to make my Eva cardigan that I showed you earlier. More of a neutrally type color, maybe like a charcoal or a tan or mocha. I really am stuck on greens and mochas lately. I really want to do a mocha color. Anyway, long story short, I got talked into doing lilac. So, you can't really see my rack here, but I'm going to pull it over a little bit. There you go. That's my lilac. It's tonal. Love the colors. These are ones that I've scanned up. Poorly, I might add. But I've scanned these up. These are the ones that wasn't. They are a mess. There was no ties, so the next time I go, I need to take some ties so that it doesn't get all messed up. But there you go. Now, I've dyed at home. I haven't dyed in a group like that, and I fell for the peer pressure. Not exactly something that I would want a cardigan in. I don't see myself wearing this all over for anything, so I don't know why I did it. My intent was to have a little bit more of a blue color, a bluer tone to it than what it has. Like it. Think it would be cute in something, maybe a hat. I don't know. Maybe. It's a little bright for me. The other one that I did was, oh, and this is DK weight, by the way. Superwash merino. This is just 100% merino wool, and this was done in a salmon color, very tonal, as you can see. I like it, but I've done this color before also. This is a little darker than what I've done before, though. If I can find one of those colors, I'll let you know. So I've got 2 skeins of that in the salmon color. This is the other one. And see the white patches? The way that I dyed them was I left the skeins twisted when I dyed it, because I wanted that little bit of resist to get that real tonal color. I wanted that. So I left it like that. And then whenever I untwisted it, that's where the white came in. There was a lot of white in some spots. Well, these 2 skeins had a lot of white. So I over dyed them with vermilion. So this is salmon by itself in a resist. It was dyed in a loose skein, kind of like this. And these had more white than these did. So I over dyed them with the color vermilion, and this is what I came up with. It's a gorgeous red looking color. You can see some of the lighter spots. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's light, there's dark. Um, kind of looks, it's more of a burgundy color in real life. Yeah, that's more of it right there. And you can see the lighter color here and there. Can see it a little better like this, maybe. Anyway, I've got 2 skeins of that. Pretty. Not anything like I was planning on dyeing that day. The fingering weight yarn, I really didn't care what color it was, so it was okay to play around with. So that's the 2 colors that came out. This is salmon, and this is salmon over dyed with vermilion. And then these DK weights, this is lilac. That's all it is the color lilac. I really wanted something a little bit more neutral, but those are the colors that I got. So that was my foray into yarn dyeing that day. Other than that, and just being frustrated, I haven't really done a whole lot. I finished a couple of books. I do Audible books because audio books, not Audible. I did have Audible. I quit paying for Audible when I realized that my local library had the, what do they call it, the Libby app, where you can download it, put your library card in, and you can borrow audiobooks for free. So I have listened to Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I liked that one. I cannot wait until the next one comes out. I think it's going to be in November. I think I talked about Fourth Wing and the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes on the last episode. So since then, I have listened to Girl Alone by Blake Pierce. That was pretty good. Also, Left to Die by Blake Pierce. What else was it? I don't think I did. Hang on. Yes, Girl Alone and Left to Die, both by Blake Pierce. They're both good. Symphony of Bones by L.T. Ryan. And what else was it? It was either Path of Bones or, let's see, Symphony of Bones. But I started listening to Path of Bones, also by L.T. Ryan and K.M. Rott. And then there's another one called Whisper of Bones. So had I known, because some of these books have, this is the number 1 in the series, this is the number 2 in the series. The only thing I want to say about that is listen to Path of Bones first before you listen to Symphony of Bones. And I haven't even really looked at Whisper of Bones yet, But I need to look in that because they're all about the same girl or the same woman. And I loved Symphony of Bones, and I was like excited, and I was like, okay, I want to continue the story. And then whenever I start listening to Path of Bones, you could tell that it came before Symphony of Bones. I wish that it said which one was first and which one was later. I just yesterday got A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I hear it's good. I also what else is it that I have? Kathy Reich's books, audiobooks. There's not very many of them on audio from the earlier ones, but so far I've listened to the first one, the second one, and the third one. So I finished the third one this last week, and the others. Anyway, I'm starting Court of Thorn and Roses now. I listen to those as I'm driving to work, as I'm driving home from work, and sometimes I listen to them while I'm at work. Because if I'm not meeting with clients, where I work can get pretty loud, so I just put my Bluetooth headphone or Bluetooth earpiece in, and I'll listen to my book and be doing my computer work, and just I get into a rhythm, and the next thing I know, it's break time and I go for my walk. Sometimes I listen to the book while I'm on my walk. Sometimes I listen to it to music, but I walk around the block on break. I walk around the block on lunch, but I add, like, I do 2 blocks at lunch, and then I walk around the block on my last break for the day. So I'm listening to it while I walk. I listen to it while I drive. My head just fell. What else was it that I was going to talk about today? I think that's pretty much it. I kind of got off on a tangent today. Oh, speaking of tangents, I don't know about you. I know there's a lot of people out there that put me down because I use Hobby Lobby yarn. You have to remember, a lot of the yarn that I buy, I've gotten from like yard sales, thrift shops, church sales, or it was given to me. My dad likes to send me boxes of yarn every now and then. He has a little resale shop in Texas, and when he buys lots from auctions or from estate sales, or somebody brings something in, if it's yarn related, he likes to get it and send it to me, which I love. I have humongous boxes of yarn in my house. So that being said, a lot of the yarn that I have, I didn't buy. But I'm not going to turn it down. And like watching Grocery Girls on Thursday, somebody had made a snarky comment about they're always talking about spin cycle yarn and it's so expensive, and why are you always talking about that, and blah blah blah, and you shouldn't be pushing it, it's too expensive. And it kind of made them feel bad, and really it shouldn't, because if you're in a position, yes, I would love to have a skein of spin cycle yarn to try. And if I was in a position to spend that much money for a skein of spin cycle, I would probably do it. It's what Andrea Mowry used in her tessellated pullover. And if I could afford that, I would love to do that, but instead I got Cascade 2020 Wave. It's similar. It's less expensive. It's less than $20 a skein. I don't feel bad about that. If I'm wearing it, or if I'm making it for someone to wear, and I know, like, this is 100% merino. It needs to be hand washed. I am not going to use this to make socks for my grandchildren, knowing that their parents, my sons, are my grandkids. I have a couple that are old enough to do their own laundry. They're not going to want something that you have to hand wash and lay out to dry. It's going to be something that they would not use very much. Whereas this is super wash. They can just toss it in the washer. They can toss it in the dryer if they have to, although I tell them it's best if you just lay it out on top of the dryer to dry. I'm not going to make them hats or socks or sweaters out of something that has to be hand washed, knowing that they're not going to be able to do that all the time. So I don't mind getting superwash. I don't mind getting Lion Brand Scarfy for something that I know that I want to use, that I'm going to be using out in the woods. This hat is for the woods. It's for going mushroom picking. It's for going huckleberry picking, which we do a lot. This one for my husband is in fingering weight, and it's in merino. I know that much, and I know that I'm gonna have to hand wash it, but do I mind that? No, because I can put wool wash in some water, throw it in there, push it down a few times, squeeze it out, let it sit for 15 minutes, rinse it. I can do that. My grandchildren, probably not. My children, probably not. So I don't feel bad, not in the least. And even Scarfy, quite frankly, this is over half a skein of Scarfy. That's $13 a skein. So that's a $13, $14 hat. I mean, this right here, I can wash this. It's acrylic. I don't mind paying $8 a skein for an acrylic yarn for a cardigan that I know I can wear a lot and I can just throw in the washer and dryer. I don't care. Some of those mini skeins, I'm not gonna be upset with anyone who goes to Walmart and buys Red Heart yarn, which can be a good yarn, a little stiff and scratchy for my taste, but that's me. I have lots of Red Heart yarn in my closet right back there that I need to find something to do with. What am I gonna do? I'm probably gonna crochet blankets with it. Throw on the couch. Yeah, it's not gonna be really soft and squishy maybe, but it'll be warm. It's something I can put in my car in case I need it, because I go places where it snows. That kind of thing really upsets me. If somebody works hard for their money and they want to spend it on spin cycle yarn, and then they want to go on their podcast and they want to show you what they made with that spin cycle yarn, and they happen to love that yarn, and it's their money and they're buying the yarn that they want to use, don't be mean. The same thing for those who can only afford Red Heart yarn or the store brand yarn from Walmart or something like that. They're making their stuff. A skein of indie dyed, this right here, indie dyed fingering weight sock yarn, goes for $25-$30, $28 some places, $35-$40 other places, depending on where you buy it. If I wanted to make my tunic, my Pebbles tunic, out of that, and from my size, I need 6 or 7 of these for some of the sweaters or some of the pullovers that I want to make. It takes 6 or 7 of these to make that and get it the length that I want in the size that I need and be comfortable. I cannot afford $28 6 times for this yarn. But other people can, and more power to them. I spent $30 a month getting a knit crate sock yarn when they were doing their subscription so that I could get these gorgeous skeins of yarn. That was my treat. $30 a month, $25-$30, after shipping, just so that I could get one skein of yarn that was special. Hence the learning how to dye. I'm not getting the colors that I want. But don't be mean to people because they can afford the yarn. If they're showing you what they're making with that yarn, don't be mean to them. Don't be mean to those who can't afford the yarn. I can make this cardigan. It's probably going to cost me $40 to make it, plus all the time that I spend making it. Maybe not 40. I think, what, 24, maybe 30. But at the same time, I could go down to Target and probably buy it for $40. But who made it? Is it really a color that you like? Is it made out of a material that you really like? Do you have the satisfaction of saying, oh yeah, you like my cardigan? I made that. No. But then again, I'm not putting you down because you have to go to Target to buy a cardigan. I'm not saying you should make it. I'm not saying you should use this yarn. I'm not saying you shouldn't use this yarn. I'm saying you do you. There are too many bullies in the world for people to bully people that are doing a podcast showing something that they like to do with a yarn that they like or the yarn that they can afford. At least they made it. Are you putting them down for using that yarn because you're jealous because you can't afford it? Are you putting them down because they can only get a cheaper yarn that may not last as long? Or because that's all they can afford? At least they're doing it. Who cares? I make my own herbal tinctures and my own herbal salves because I want to know what is put in the salves and what is put in the tinctures. And I don't like to go to the pharmacy and buy a cold care product when all I have to do is drink a cup of elderberry flower tea with echinacea, or take some elderberry syrup that I went and found the elderberries and I made the syrup from. I live in an area where I can do that. I have books where I've learned some of that knowledge. I'm not going to be put down because I do that. All I'm trying to say is be nice to one another, appreciate what each other does, and stop being mean. Anyway, but have fun in what you do. Just have fun. Sorry, that kind of hit me because I also am in a spinning group. And on Facebook, and somebody had said something about somebody's spinning, and it's like, at least they're spinning. I'm still a beginner. My stuff's not gonna look this nice when I spin it. It's all wobbly and bumpy and stuff, and people pay out the yang for that kind of yarn. But I mean, leave people alone. I mean, seriously. Anyway, I don't like to get political, and I just did. And I don't like to choose sides, and I just did. So, enough is enough. Enjoy what you make. Enjoy what you do. Make it for you. Make it for the person you're making it for. And just think about it bringing them happiness or bringing you happiness. And really look at what you're making, like I did in the last week, and see where is my happiness. If it's frustrating, if it feels not right, then it's probably not right. So just think about that and enjoy what you do. Till next time.